When Amanda Blake passed away in 1989, fans across America were heartbroken. To most people, she was Miss Kitty Russell, the fiery red-haired saloon owner from Gunsmoke, one of television's longest-running shows. The world was told that Amanda died from cancer, and for years that story was accepted as truth. But later, when her family fought over her estate, shocking new information came out. The truth about her death, and the secrets she revealed in her final years, was nothing like what anyone expected. Amanda Blake, once called America's sweetheart, spent nearly 2 decades charming millions of viewers. Yet behind the warm smile and glamorous television image, there were deep scars left by betrayal, jealousy, and painful conflicts with some of her closest co-stars. In her last interviews and private conversations, Amanda did something she had never done before. She opened up about the 5 actors who had betrayed her trust during her Gunsmoke years. It wasn't bitterness that drove her to speak, but a desire to finally share her side of the story before it was too late. What she said revealed the hidden tension behind one of TV's most beloved shows, and the private heartbreak of a woman who seemed to have everything. Amanda Blake was born Beverly Louise Neal on February 20, 1929, in Buffalo, New York. Her family moved to California when she was still a child, giving her a front-row seat to the growing world of film and television. From an early age, she loved 2 things deeply: acting and animals. Her acting dream led her to Hollywood, while her compassion for animals became her lifelong cause. But when Amanda first entered the movie industry, she wasn't treated as a future star. MGM Studios hired her as a backup actress, meant to replace their big stars like Greer Garson if needed. In other words, she was expected to stay in the shadows. Amanda refused to accept that fate. She worked tirelessly in small, often uncredited roles, slowly earning respect through her discipline and determination. Then, in 1955, everything changed when she landed the role of Miss Kitty Russell in Gunsmoke. The show would go on to become one of the most successful TV series in history, and Amanda became its beating heart. Miss Kitty wasn't the usual female character of her time. She was strong, independent, and smart. While most women on 1950s television were housewives or secretaries, Miss Kitty ran her own business and stood up to men as an equal. That made Amanda Blake a trailblazer without even realizing it. The relationship between Miss Kitty and Marshall Matt Dillon, played by James Arness, was one of television's greatest mysteries. Were they just friends or something more? The chemistry between them was electric but carefully restrained, and fans loved it. For nearly 20 years, that almost romance kept people tuning in week after week. Amanda appeared in over 500 episodes and became one of the most recognized actresses in America. But behind the scenes, life on Gunsmoke wasn't always as warm as it looked on screen. Amanda was a perfectionist. She came from the MGM system, where actors were expected to rehearse every line and gesture. She valued preparation and professionalism above all else. Unfortunately, not everyone on set shared that attitude. As the years went by, Amanda grew increasingly frustrated with several of her co-stars. Some she accused of being lazy, others of being arrogant, and a few of simply not respecting her as an equal. In her later years, she finally spoke about these long-held frustrations, naming 5 people who made her time on Gunsmoke far more difficult than the audience ever knew. Her honesty was shocking, but it also revealed how much pressure she carried as one of the few leading women in television at the time. The first person Amanda mentioned was Ken Curtis, who played Festus Hagen. To viewers, Festus was lovable, funny, and full of charm. But for Amanda, working with him could be exhausting. Curtis often improvised his lines, adding jokes or changing scenes on the spot. Amanda, who memorized every word, found this unprofessional. It threw off her rhythm and disrupted her performance. She once said that Ken's playful attitude made it hard for her to stay focused during serious scenes. Over time, the tension grew, and directors had to reshoot scenes multiple times because of their clashing styles. Yet, Amanda later admitted that Curtis had a good heart. He respected her love for animals and even donated to her charity events. By the end of Gunsmoke, they had learned to work together with more respect. Another conflict came from a brief but intense encounter with the legendary actress Bette Davis, who guest-starred on the show. Davis was known for being demanding, and Amanda found her presence intimidating. The 2 strong-willed actresses clashed over timing and delivery, creating a storm of tension on set. Amanda later said she admired Bette's talent, but found working with her emotionally draining. It was like 2 powerful personalities colliding, each used to being the star in the room. A young Burt Reynolds also appeared on Gunsmoke early in his career. Full of confidence and ambition, he brought fresh energy to the show, but Amanda wasn't impressed. She felt that Reynolds was cocky and often ignored direction, more focused on standing out than being part of a team. He thought he knew better than everyone, she once remarked. While his boldness later made him a Hollywood icon, it created chaos on set for Amanda, who valued structure and discipline. Then came her complicated relationship with James Arness, the man who played Marshall Dillon. Fans adored their on-screen connection. But behind the camera, things were very different. Arness was quiet and methodical, while Amanda was passionate and expressive. She wanted more emotional depth in her scenes, but Arness preferred to stick to the script. Their creative differences often led to arguments, though they eventually built mutual respect. The last person Amanda spoke of was Milburn Stone, who played Doc Adams. This feud was the most surprising of all. Amanda admitted that in the early days she was jealous of him. She wanted higher billing and felt she deserved more recognition. Stone's calm, steady presence sometimes made her insecurities worse. But as the years went on, he became a mentor and close friend. Their bond became one of the show's strongest relationships, even if it began in rivalry. After 19 seasons, Amanda Blake decided to leave Gunsmoke in 1974. It was the end of an era. The show continued for one more year but never recovered from her absence. For almost 2 decades, Amanda had been the emotional anchor of Gunsmoke. Without Miss Kitty, Dodge City felt empty. When asked why she left, Amanda said she needed to rediscover herself. "I'd given everything to Miss Kitty," she explained. "It was time to give something back to me." She had spent years waking up at dawn, memorizing scripts, and living the same character day after day. The long hours had worn her down emotionally and physically. So she moved to a ranch in Arizona, far from the spotlight. There, she devoted herself to the thing that had always brought her peace: animals. Away from Hollywood, Amanda finally found the freedom she had been missing. Her ranch became a sanctuary for wildlife and a place where she could heal from the years of on-set drama and personal disappointments. Most people only remember Amanda Blake as Miss Kitty, but her work with animals became her greatest legacy. She co-founded the Arizona Animal Welfare League, which grew into the state's largest no-kill shelter. Together with her third husband, Frank Gilbert, she also ran one of the first successful cheetah breeding programs in the world. Scientists had long believed breeding cheetahs in captivity was impossible, but Amanda and Frank proved them wrong. They raised several generations of cheetahs, contributing to wildlife conservation in a groundbreaking way. Amanda didn't do it for publicity. She did it out of love. Her devotion to animals earned her national recognition. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan presented her with the Humane Society's Courage Award for her outstanding contribution to animal welfare. Even as her Hollywood fame faded, Amanda's impact on the world grew stronger. She wasn't just a TV star anymore. She was a real-life hero who fought for the voiceless. Her work inspired others to join the cause, and many of the organizations she supported still exist today. Amanda had finally found her true calling, and she poured her heart into it until the very end. When Amanda Blake died at the age of 60, newspapers reported that she had lost her battle with cancer. That story seemed believable since she had undergone surgery for oral cancer years earlier. But when her family started fighting over her estate, court documents revealed something far more tragic. Amanda had actually died from liver failure caused by AIDS. At that time, AIDS was still a misunderstood and feared disease, often surrounded by stigma and secrecy. Hollywood and her family had tried to hide the truth to protect her reputation, but eventually it came out. Amanda had been diagnosed only a year before her death and kept it private, sharing the news only with her closest friends. It was a brave choice, made in an era when few had the courage to speak about the disease publicly. People wondered how she could have contracted it. Some speculated it came from her fourth husband, Mark Spaeth, who also died from AIDS shortly after their marriage. By the late 1970s, Amanda Blake was feeling both proud and tired. She had spent nearly 2 decades as Miss Kitty, one of television's most beloved characters. But the long years in the studio, the constant pressure to look perfect, and the emotional strain of Hollywood politics began to wear her down. She wanted something different, something real. While many stars chased new acting roles, Amanda's heart started to move in another direction. She became deeply involved in animal welfare, a passion that would soon define the rest of her life. At a time when very few celebrities spoke about animal cruelty, Amanda took a bold stand. She began rescuing abandoned and mistreated animals, funding shelters, and working with organizations that protected wildlife. She even helped to establish one of the first successful cheetah breeding programs in the United States. People who worked with her said she didn't just lend her name, she got her hands dirty, cleaning cages and feeding the animals herself. For her, it was never about publicity. It was about compassion. Her ranch in California became a sanctuary, not only for animals but also for people who wanted to make a difference. She often invited schoolchildren and volunteers to visit, teaching them how kindness toward animals reflected kindness toward people. In many ways, Amanda found the peace and sense of purpose that Hollywood had never been able to give her. While the entertainment industry often measured success by fame and money, she discovered a deeper joy in helping living beings that had no voice. However, while Amanda's life seemed fulfilled on the outside, her health quietly began to decline. By the mid-1980s, she appeared thinner, weaker, and more fragile. Friends noticed, but Amanda kept her struggles private. She had always been a proud woman, one who believed in facing pain silently rather than burdening others. In 1989, at only 60 years old, she passed away at Mercy General Hospital in Sacramento, California. At first, newspapers reported that she had died of throat cancer. It seemed believable, as Amanda had been a longtime smoker. Her fans mourned deeply, remembering her red hair, warm smile, and unforgettable screen presence. But soon, whispers began to spread that the official story wasn't entirely true. Months later, it was revealed that the real cause of her death was AIDS-related complications. The news shocked Hollywood and broke the hearts of those who loved her. In the 1980s, AIDS was still surrounded by fear, misinformation, and judgment. People who suffered from it were often treated with suspicion and shame. Amanda's friends and doctors had likely tried to protect her from that cruelty by keeping her illness private. Yet when the truth came out, it forced the world to face a new kind of reality. That even someone as admired, elegant, and respected as Amanda Blake could be touched by a disease many associated with stigma and discrimination. The revelation of Amanda's true cause of death caused both sadness and compassion. Some fans felt betrayed that the truth had been hidden, while others believed she deserved privacy. Her close friends, including her fellow Gunsmoke co-stars, spoke publicly about how kind and caring she had been. They remembered her as the heart of the cast, the one who made everyone laugh even on long shooting days. James Arness, who played Marshal Matt Dillon, was said to be devastated. Despite rumors of distance between them after the show ended, he had always admired Amanda deeply. Other actors shared similar emotions. They said Amanda's warmth had been genuine, her love for animals real, and her laughter contagious. Behind the red lipstick and Hollywood glamour was a woman who had battled loneliness and pain with quiet dignity. The media, however, didn't always handle the news respectfully. Tabloids published sensational headlines, focusing more on the cause of her death than on her life's work. But among those who truly knew her, the focus remained on her courage. Amanda had faced illness in silence, not because of shame, but because she didn't want to be pitied or defined by it. In a time when AIDS was still misunderstood, her story humanized the illness for many and encouraged compassion over judgment. Amanda Blake's battle was not just with her illness, it was with the social walls that surrounded it. Even after her death, her courage helped to soften the harsh attitudes people had toward AIDS patients. Advocacy groups pointed out that her story proved the disease didn't discriminate between rich or poor, famous or unknown. It could touch anyone. And that realization changed the way many people thought about compassion. In later interviews, friends revealed that Amanda had been aware of her diagnosis for a while, but chose to continue her work quietly. She kept donating to animal charities, visiting shelters, and attending fundraisers until her final months. Her strength was not in fighting the disease openly, but in refusing to let it define her. She wanted her legacy to be about love and service, not about fear. Many people who worked with her at the Los Angeles Zoo said she was a natural leader who inspired others to care deeply about animals. Her influence helped raise public awareness about endangered species, at a time when few people were talking about them. After her death, several organizations named programs